Hey, Mrs. Pierce here. So for this recording, I just want to give you guys a shortcut for calculating percent increase or decrease of a number. Okay? Let's. Okay, so first of all, I want to just talk about what it means to calculate the percent of a number. If I just gave you a percent, such as 65%, and I said to you, convert that into decimal form. So if I was converting that into decimal form, I could take my decimal point, which in this case it's at the end, and move it 2 places to the left. So 65% into decimal form equals 0.65. I did not just calculate the percent of a number. All I did was change it into decimal form. If I'm calculating percent of a number, that's using a proportion. I'm trying to figure out what portion of the number is this certain percent. So for example, 50% of a number. 50% of a number, well, hopefully you just know that that's half. So then I would just calculate what half of that number is. I hope you know what 10% of a number, I can just divide it by 10 or move my decimal 1 place to the left. So just keep in mind, we're going to be calculating the percent of a number. So we're trying to find what part of a whole equals a certain thing. Okay? All right, let me give you some shortcuts. All right, just to start out, the original of anything is always 100%. So whatever we start with, whatever the original price was, whatever our total bill is, anything we start with is always 100%. We got to keep that in mind. So if I'm paying a 6% tax on something, well, that is going to be 6% more, or a 6% increase. So basically, I am paying 106%. Now, if they change that to decimal form, that's going to be 1.06. I didn't do anything with that yet. All I did was change it into decimal form. Let's say I went to dinner and then I'm going to pay 15% extra for a tip. Well, that's something extra. That's an increase. So 100% will be my dinner plus the 15%. That is going to be 115% of the original. Move my decimal 2 places to the left. In decimal form, that would be 1.15. Okay. So a 20% discount, if I go to Kohl's and I have a 20% off everything, it's a discount. Starting at 100%, I'm going to subtract 20%. That means I'm going to be paying 80%. And in decimal form, that would be 0.8. A 75% markup. So if I own a company, I buy some products, and then I'm going to sell it at an increased rate. So basically then I would be selling it for 175% of the original. Change that to a decimal, and in decimal form, that would be 1.75. And then last, if I had a 15% off coupon, again, that's going to be a decrease. So if I start with 100%, I'm going to decrease it by 15%, and that is going to be 85% that I would end up paying. And in decimal form, that would be 0.85. Okay, true story. So when I was in college, one of the many jobs that I did was deliver pizzas for Domino's. But every now and then it would be really crazy busy, and I would get stuck answering the phones. So if a customer calls and they order just one small pizza, a small pizza at Domino's is $9.99. Customers always want to know what their final price is so they can have their money ready when the delivery person comes. And so when it's really busy, instead of writing down how much the tax is and then adding it all up, I just would take my calculator and I would take $1.99 times 1.06, and I would let the customer know that that would be $10.59. So again, just a good application in everyday life where using a shortcut can make things faster. All right, so I'm going to really quickly just give you a bunch of examples. Let's say I am going to buy something that is normally $65. Okay? It could be dinner, it could be a game, it could be clothing, it could be anything. And it doesn't have to be money. It could be there's 65 points on a test. It could be a whole bunch of things. But let's say my original amount is 65. Okay? And we'll talk about money for now just to be fun. Alright, so if I wanted to find out what a 6% tax is, I would convert that to 1.06 because it's extra, multiply by $65, and my final price would be, since we're talking money, I'm going to have the dollar sign there, $68.90. Now my calculator just said 0.9, but since we're talking money, I'm going to say 90 cents. Okay, dinner plus a 15% tip. So I'm going to do 1.15 since I'm paying extra times $65, and that is going to be $74.75. Okay, if I am going to pay a 20% discount, now that's a discount, so I'm subtracting, remember. So I'm going to take 0.80 or 0.8 times 65, and that will be $52. Nice and handy if I'm at the store. Now you guys have calculators on your phones, if you have a phone, so that's pretty convenient. Okay, 75% markup. It is, again, a markup, so it's extra, so that's just going to be 1.75 times 65, and that would be $113.75. Okay, almost doubled, not quite, but almost doubled. And last, if I had a 15% off coupon, again, it's 15% off, and up here we had a discount, and so I'm subtracting 15%, so I'm going to do 0.85 times 65, and that will be $55.25. Okay? So again, I hope you don't get too confused. This can only be used if we are calculating the percent of a number. Okay? That of there is when I'm multiplying. So of. Okay? If I need to know the original amount, can't do it this way. If I need to know the percent, can't do it this way. This is only when I know the percent and I know the original amount. Alright? Okay. Hopefully it worked. If you are confused and you want some help, let your teacher know. Or you can just go back to using a proportion all the time, and that works too.